Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled Sniper, Rogue Mission. Let's get straight into the storyline. The story begins by showing a group of FBI members from the United States on a mission to raid an adult film production site. The mission was led by a bearded man named Zero. However, before the mission began, Zero had contacted his best friend, Brandon, to ask for help monitoring a woman named Laura. It was discovered that Laura was the mastermind behind the making of the adult film, as well as a pimp who had a side business in human trafficking. Aside from human trafficking, Laura is also a cruel person. If her men make a mistake, she will not hesitate to kill them. At the same time, Laura's men received information that a member of the FBI would be coming to their place within the next 30 minutes. Knowing this, Laura immediately ordered her men to slaughter all the women who were kept there. Laura was apparently afraid that if any of the women were caught by the FBI, her business secrets would be exposed and in the media spotlight. Before the massacre, one of Laura's men, Simon, met a woman named Anna.
There isn't any time to explain.
Simon, who secretly had feelings for Anna, asked her to run away immediately because soon Laura's men would come and slaughter all the women in the place.
Go!
Shortly after Anna managed to escape, Laura's men began to massacre all the women there. Right after the incident, Zero arrived with the FBI troops, but unfortunately, they didn't find anyone alive. All that was left were the corpses of the women who had been murdered so cruelly.
Someone tipped them off. Place is empty.
Meanwhile, Zero, who was still at the location, received a call from Brandon. Brandon informed him that a minister had been arrested for allegedly collaborating with Laura in human trafficking. Therefore, Brandon planned to hand over the minister to the authorities for severe punishment. Long story short, Brandon returns to the base and starts to tell his superior, Gabriel, about the minister's involvement in the human trafficking network. However, instead of getting praise, Brandon receives a stern reprimand. Harvey, the U.S. border minister, is a difficult figure to prosecute. Moreover, Brandon still lacks evidence of Harvey's crimes. Therefore, Gabriel is forced to let Harvey go free. Instead, Brandon is punished by being temporarily disabled from his duties.
Lord Lake is the CEO of Sigma Oasis Innovations here in London.
I'm only sticking around to watch you get your feet wet. Your feet wet. Not to go swimming in shit.
Shortly after, Harvey comes and defends himself. He claims that his visit to Laura's place was only to pick up some items he had lent her. At the same time, Harvey presented some evidence that Laura had been found dead from consuming poison. Harvey also insisted that he had nothing to do with trafficking women, not even participating in the business.
Laura Lake getting away. It did look like you were trying to stop her.
Early this morning in her bathtub. Pills. Tragic.
Meanwhile, elsewhere, the group of hitmen who are Laura's men has just realized that a woman managed to escape on the night of the massacre. The group leader, Dex, immediately orders two of his snipers to look for Anna. He suspects Anna may have fled to the police station to report the incident. Meanwhile, at the police station, Anna was reporting what had happened to her. Suddenly, Zero arrives and claims to be a member of the FBI tasked with protecting Anna from the threat of the hitmen. Zero then shows some photos of the criminals who were the target of their operation the night before. When Zero showed her Harvey's picture, Anna immediately blurted out that he had taken her and all the prostitutes to a city in the United States. That means Laura has been working with the minister to manage the human trafficking business. On the other hand, two enemy snipers quietly began watching Anna's movements from a distance. They were getting ready to shoot from the top of the building, but because they were beginners, the shot missed and hit a policeman instead.
Shit.
Seeing the incident, Zero quickly fled, with Anna leaving the police station. At the assassin's headquarters, Dex, who got the report about the failed mission, immediately went berserk and yelled at two of his men. In fact, he even destroyed the surrounding items. Meanwhile, Brandon is still trying to convince Gabriel. However, because the boss is too stubborn, he does not believe Brandon's words. Until now, Brandon has been unable to provide stronger evidence of Harvey's rottenness. This frustrates Brandon, and he finally leaves because his words are not believed. He decides to take matters into his own hands to expose all the masterminds behind the human trafficking case. However, since they need help fighting a minister and his minions, Zero, a secret agent, has many acquaintances of the trained squad members. One of them is a female assassin named Lady Death, who is known as Yuki in the previous film. She is very good at infiltrating and spying. The next morning, Zero, Brandon, and Anna come to a cafe in Baltimore. The cafe is where Yuki used to hang out with her friends. As they split up to look for her, Brandon enters the cafe and asks the patrons about Lady Death.
Excuse me, have you ever seen this woman around here?
However, suddenly, a geeky guy named Pete whispers and tells Brandon to follow him out of the cafe. Right after they left, a mysterious woman, aka Yuki, suddenly appeared and immediately attacked Brandon. Yuki thought Brandon was a hitman sent to finish her off.
Just hold on.
However, while the fight was raging, Zero and Anna arrived and explained that there had been a misunderstanding between them. Long story short, upon arriving at Yuki's residence, Zero explains his purpose for coming, asking Yuki for help dismantling a human trafficking case. One of the victims of the trade was even in front of Yuki, and the mastermind behind all of this was a state official in the government. Initially, Yuki, who had retired from the assassin world, refused to join. However, after hearing Anna's story about the victim's fate, she finally agreed to help Zero's group.
I just want to stay alive. It's got worse, just full-blown sex slavery. They need your help so that these animals can't do it to another group of girls.
Okay.
The first thing they will do is go to meet the geeky guy Pete, an expert hacker in hacking information. That's when they start looking for information about the official and all his subordinates. Eventually, they manage to uncover a conspiracy related to Laura's death files. They concluded that Laura had most likely faked her death to get back into the human trafficking business under a new identity. To confirm the truth, Zero asks Anna to contact Simon, who freed her from the adult film set. When Anna asked about Laura's death, it happened at the same time as Dex was borrowing Simon's mobile phone. Finally, Dex discovered that the person who freed Anna was his own subordinate.
Oh my god, you answered.
Hey, are you safe?
Not until you get here.
Finally, Dex immediately threatens Simon to pretend to invite Anna to meet at a cafe so they can finish her off as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, at Gabriel's headquarters, his mind began getting suspicious. He begins to investigate the files on Laura's death, including the people behind the scenes involved in the human trafficking business. Eventually, Gabriel discovers some irregularities in Laura's death file, which seems to have been neatly organized. However, he still cannot act because he has not found enough strong evidence. Therefore, Gabriel will secretly keep an eye on Harvey, as he believes that the man might be involved in the human trafficking business. The next day, they have a meeting with Laura's men. However, Zero, afraid that Simon might betray him, asks Yuki to accompany Anna during the meeting. Meanwhile, he and Brandon are tasked with protecting them by watching from inside the building using a sniper. Long story short, Simon has arrived at the cafe with his gang. However, Dex suddenly orders 2 snipers to shoot Anna when they meet. Apart from killing Anna, he also ordered his men to kill Simon as punishment for betraying his own group. Right after Simon was killed, Dex left to watch the surroundings. Meanwhile, some of his men are tasked with watching Anna and will kill her when she arrives. When they arrived at the cafe, it seemed Anna and Yuki had just arrived. There, a large man pretended to read a book next to them. Meanwhile, Zero and Brandon were preparing to look for enemy sniper movements. But unfortunately, the enemy's hideout still couldn't be found. Without them realizing it, Dex and his sniper men were in the same building, only on the rooftop. While Anna was waiting for Simon's arrival, she was suddenly attacked by Dex's sniper men.
Shoot her!
Fortunately, Yuki saved her and quickly left the place. Meanwhile, Yuki had to deal with a muscular man.
Get her! You fucking moron! I thought you were a sniper!
On the other hand, Zero, who realized the enemy sniper was above them, immediately ran towards the rooftop. However, that's when Zero suddenly crosses paths with Dex, which automatically makes them involved in a fierce fight. Initially overwhelmed in the fight, Zero finally managed to turn the situation around. He shot Dex in the head until the man died. Meanwhile, Yuki was still fighting with a muscular man. However, the fight had to be stopped due to the arrival of the police. Yuki, who was afraid of being arrested, immediately ran away. The big man who failed to escape then began to take a citizen hostage and threatened to kill her if the police did not leave immediately. However, shortly after that, suddenly, a sniper shot went straight through his head. Apparently the shot came from Brandon, who was still inside the building. Long story short, they then gathered at Yuki's residence. Zero began to show Dex mobile phone that he had managed to take during the battle. Zero also said that they should go to Pete's house, the hacker, to open the phone so that they could dig up the information on it. Once there, Pete, an expert in hacking, finally managed to unlock and get all the information about the people involved in human trafficking. Not only that, all the data was secured, from transactions, dates, and delivery times, and the most surprising thing was the fact that Laura had actually faked her death by changing her identity. The plan was aided by the border minister, aka Harvey. After getting the evidence, Brandon immediately informed his superiors about the information. Then, Zero and Yuki begin to make plans to attack the enemy base, slaughter all of Harvey's gang, as well as rescue the women who are still being held at the Philadelphia docks. Meanwhile, Gabriel begins to infiltrate Harvey's house. Once there, he finds some fake files about Laura's death, which turns out to have changed her identity to a civilian. In addition, Gabriel also finds evidence of smuggling illegal women forced into prostitution. Just as Gabriel is about to take the evidence, Harvey suddenly appears and points a gun at him. However, Gabriel managed to dodge. He quickly ran away and hid in an upstairs room.
Trying to intimidate you when I should be leveling with you. Okay, you have tested my patience and my patience.
As soon as he gets the chance, he beats Harvey up. Meanwhile, the film moves to a dock where Zero, Brandon, and Yuki still monitor the situation. They begin to divide the task. Yuki is tasked with slaughtering enemy troops one by one like an assassin, while Brandon and Zero become a support system that will attack enemy snipers from the top of a container car. Shortly after that, a firefight ensued between the two troops. Zero, who saw Yuki, was overwhelmed by the enemy troops, so he decided to go down and help Yuki slaughter them. However, after Zero went down, Brandon, who stayed alone in the container, was suddenly attacked by one of the enemy troops. There was a fierce fight between them.
There's a sniper! Find him, I've got company!
As the enemy began to target Brandon, Brandon quickly threw a sniper at Zero. At the same time, Zero immediately took aim at the enemy sniper and managed to kill him. After successfully eliminating the hitmen, the police and a group of ambulances arrived to rescue the women who were kidnapped. At the same time, Gabriel gave the news that he had captured Harvey and secured some evidence of the crime that could put him in prison. Then, regarding Laura, who had faked her death, she was most likely in one of the containers. Brandon immediately rushed to check each container car. However, since all the women have been evacuated, Brandon quickly catches up with those about to be taken to the hospital. However, on the way, they found an ambulance that looked suspicious. Apparently the passengers inside had been killed. Most likely they died because of Laura's actions. On the other hand, Laura, who had managed to escape after killing the ambulance officer, tried to ask a passing car for a lift. She made up a story that she had just been robbed by someone.
I had to resort to some very desperate measures to escape my...
However, without realizing it, the person who gave her a lift was Anna, a woman with a grudge for being forced into prostitution. Without much ado, Anna killed Laura and dumped her body in the middle of the road. A few days later, Gabriel, who has retired from the CIA, is seen. He explains to Brandon that Zero will form a team of troops to eradicate the high-class mafia. Nowadays, the officials who are supposed to protect are actually the masterminds behind shocking crime cases. Therefore, they will eradicate those who defect from the path of truth and will move without the government's help, and the film is over.